spend the money in order to get it back, and spending money on interest doesn't count, and so it's a difficult situation to try and pay back those funds.
Well, it's a considerable expense for a mental health budget.
Right, and they have an increase for
It
reasons
just
that
seems
they
to me
haven't
like
controlled.
it's maybe kind of just the way it's set up, it's set aside and it actually gets penalized, where if it was set up the same as the rest of the system, that wouldn't show up. So it's kind of a penalty.
The idea behind setting it up in its own fund was to identify all of the costs associated with that deficit. So by making that fund interest bearing, it was showing how much it was actually costing. Typically, that interest payment isn't really held against them, it's just there to show how much it is. It's usually reimbursed at the end of the year.
Yeah, but the reality of it is it probably costs the department saying that the same as about 3 to 4 positions in funding because of public bookkeeping, the way it's set up.
So it's something that's being looked at, because as long as
Being on the mental health board, I had to bring that up.
Yeah, and as long as mental health reaches the point where they do break even and the deficit is not increasing, then, I think it may be time to look at how we're dealing with it.
Well, it's nice to see the deficit going down.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carmen.
Okay. So, as a result of the third quarter report, we now have an estimate of what the fund balance would be, that would be carried over into 2008, 2009. So the fund balance is from 2007, 2008, but it would be carried over to 2008, 2009. And the estimate right now is $1.8 million. And, that is a big change, obviously, from the second quarter report. I think in the second quarter, it's only halfway through the year. Departments are pretty cautious about saying that, they expect there to be savings. But at this point, to have reached this point, one, they have more time, that they've seen more experience with this year's budget, so they have a sense of what they've had to spend and what they haven't. I think the other part of it is that we've had a number of discussions with department heads in the executive team meeting and made it very clear that it's in all of our best interest to conserve as much funding as we can this fiscal year. And what I've heard from department heads is that they're taking that very seriously, and that that's something that will help us as we head into next year. So that's our estimate for now. Again, it's subject to change, but it gives us something to work from. So then you've got the state budget impacts. I love seeing that state thing, what can I say? Anyway, I think two areas are the delayed state payments to the counties. What that means is counties will have to it shifts interest costs to the county. Essentially, the state is using the counties as a bank, as usual. And, when I think about the state budget, where you're connecting chronic borrowers with chronic gamblers, it's just not a good combination. Anyway, then you look at the proposed state cuts, where the biggest impacts are. The total potential cut for Mendocino County, and this is a rough estimate, is $1.5 million. So that's what we're potentially looking at. And then the state cuts are, you've already heard where they are. There's reduced public safety subventions, library subvention, and then the various social services programs. So we're now moving on to the projections regarding wages and benefits. The compensation policy was finalized in 2006, and the plans implementing that were adopted for all bargaining units with MOUs, and a number of them expire in fall of 2009, but some of them go until spring or even July 1st of 2010. So this next time around, there will be more of a spread to the negotiations, which the negotiating team is happy about. Won't be quite such a pile of MOUs to deal with. So in implementing it, there are several steps. I wanted to let you know the review and revise internal equity basically has been completed for all positions Human Services Agency. That will be dealt with before the end of this fiscal year, so it's all taken care of in 2007, 2008. We kind of went out of order. The salary surveys have been conducted already for the market adjustment in 2008, 2009, the one that would be effective in July of 2008. And we're reviewing the benchmark classifications and how that will be applied, and then we'll go ahead with implementing those market adjustments and then the COLAs. And depending on the bargaining unit, the COLAs do happen at different times, and the market adjustments happen at different times. DSA and McLEMA are on a different time schedule, different calendar than the general bargaining unit, probation bargaining units, management departments, et cetera, and the attorneys are on yet another schedule. So, in looking at the projections, we looked at what the maximum adjustment would be, and now that we have the salary surveys, we are actually figuring out more specifically what it would be, and that projection is being refined. It's too early to say exactly what it's